Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our Facebook Live session. This is the Alzheimer's Association Illinois Chapter's Facebook Live program. And today we're going to be featuring the US Pointer study. My name is Melanie Chavin. I'm the Chief Program Officer for the Illinois Chapter. And joining me today are Dr. Darren Gitelman, who is the Director of Cognitive Disorders at Advocate Medical Group, and also the Senior Medical Director with Advocate Memory Center, and Dr. Christy Tangney, who is a professor with the Departments of Clinical Nutrition and Preventive Medicine with Rush University Medical Center. And Dr. Gitelman and Dr. Tangney are the co-principal investigators for the Chicago US Pointer site. And we're just delighted to have the two of you with us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having us.
So Dr. Tangney, I think I'll start with you. First of all, if you want to tell us a little bit about your background, because your background certainly positions you well for being a co-PI for this study. And if you wouldn't mind giving us a brief overview of the US Pointer study, what is it and what is it trying to achieve?
Sure, glad to do so. As you know, I'm a professor in clinical nutrition and preventive medicine. So for nearly 35 years now, I have been working in the area of how nutrition impacts both brain and cardiovascular health. And I've been very fortunate because I'm also training future dietitians in our program here at Rush. And I've been very fortunate to collaborate with a whole host of other experts. Anything dealing with lifestyle means that you bring in people with other expertise. And nearly 20 years ago, Dr. Martha Claire Morris and I started working together largely because of an interest that we both had in common. She as a nutrition epidemiologist and myself as a nutritionist were very interested in the role that vitamin E played in cardiovascular and brain health. And that materialized into and matured into an interest beyond observational studies to look at clinical trials, how diet might impact future brain health. And we designed the MIND trial, which is one of the few and only diet trials that is out there that specifically looks at diet in relationship to cognitive health. That trial is now being led by Dr. Lisa Barnes, and it is just closed out as of last month, and analysis are being run right now. As a result of that, I think that was one of the reasons, with the unfortunate demise of Martha Claire, that they asked me to take over the US Pointer study, as well as pursuing another project looking at diet in relationship to stroke participants. But let me get back to US Pointer, because it was such an honor to be asked and involved in this study, and to work with Dr. Gitelman in this effort too, and he can tell you more about how we've been working together. But the US Pointer trial is really a wonderful trial. It attempts to look at what we saw the most positive in Finland, where a multi-domain trial where diet, exercise, social engagement, and health monitoring all appeared to protect brain health in a community-based study in Finland in nearly 2,000 people. And what has since happened is there has been no drug that really has been shown to have any role in protecting brain health. And so what was fortunate is the Alzheimer's Association, in collaboration with a host of very experienced trialists, led largely by Dr. Laura Baker and Dr. Mark Headstead and Dr. Whitmer and a number of other investigators, had decided to launch this study. And the study is attempting to look at 2,000 individuals, 5 different sites, to ask the question, do 2 different lifestyle interventions protect brain health? And we're deep in the thick of it. And I think I'll let Dr. Gitelman maybe answer and add a little more to that conversation about what we're attempting to do with uspointer.
Thank you so much, Dr. Tangney. And I couldn't have said it better. So I'm Dr. Darren Gitelman. I'm a behavioral neurologist. I have been taking care of patients with dementia for over 25 years. And as you mentioned, we all well know that there has really been a lack of medications to prevent or in many ways treat many of the symptoms of dementia and Alzheimer's disease. So we have certainly been searching for new methods of treatment. At the Memory Center, at the Advocate Memory Center, we are involved with clinical trials that include industry-sponsored trials, but now also the uspointer trial. And I have to say, I actively pursued being part of this trial. I'm Maria Carrillo, and the Alzheimer's Association had to chase me away. But when I heard about this trial, and having read about the finger trial, which you described was in Finland, and the excitement of seeing that a lifestyle intervention could potentially really make a difference in people's cardiovascular health and in their brain health, I thought that this was really the trial that we needed to be part of. And the idea of improving people's health and preventing and reducing the risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease was just so exciting that we vigorously pursued this for a number of months, maybe even up to a year before Advocate Health was part of that. And so I'm really grateful to have joined with you at Rush. You're just an outstanding partner working with Rush, and also the Alzheimer's Association, who we work with on this trial and a number of other outreach activities, have been outstanding partners. So we're just very excited to be part of it.
Well, great. We're excited to be doing this with you as well. So Dr. Gitelman, I think I'll start with you with this next question. Who are you looking for to participate in uspointer? What does the ideal uspointer participant look like?
So the ideal participant are, of course, people who are older, because age is the biggest risk factor for developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And just by virtue of people being older than 60, for example, they're just going to be at increased risk for developing dementia and Alzheimer's. So people between the ages of 60 and 79 are eligible for the trial. And then we're looking for people who really haven't, I guess, implemented all the things we're doing in the trial. So if somebody is already training for the marathon and eating a perfect Mediterranean diet and learning new languages, you know, God bless them. They're doing all the right things. But then it would be hard for us to intervene in the trial. So we're looking for people who are interested in making a real change to their lives, a real change in terms of their physical activity, in terms of their cognitive training and socialization, in terms of their diet. And by doing so, really may create a way to improve their brain health. Those are really the ideal people. Other risk factors that increase people's risk for developing dementia and Alzheimer's disease include things like a family history, include things like certain cardiovascular risk factors such as high blood pressure, diabetes, hyperlipidemia, or high cholesterol. So if those factors are also present as well, those are the type of people, I think, that are going to benefit most from this trial.
Thank you. And Dr. Tangney, I know that there's a pretty aggressive goal in this study of making sure that we have people that are representative of the population in general. So, you know, especially reaching out to people of color. And I wonder if you could tell us a little bit more about that and why that's such an important part of this study.
Yes. You know, in translating the findings from the Finnish study to the American population, it's so important that we really get adequate representation from everyone in the United States. And because I think that's really the most important thing, is how is Pointer really representing the American public. And so one of our efforts, and I guess this is another piece of the ideal participant, we go from community to community. And by moving from community to community, we're very cognizant of the fact that we want to make sure that folks who are potentially underrepresented are actually included here. And we want to make it something that's available to everyone. And in fact, we have recruitment specialists who are actually advising us in the best ways that we can reach out to folks that are generally not aware of some of these things because maybe their networks are not the same. And so our goals are largely to reach through those networks, through churches, through senior centers, through individual organizations, and including the Alzheimer's Association, who have continually made us aware of other networks that we may not be addressing. So that's one of our biggest concerns. Our concerns really are to literally have more than up to 30% of individuals of color. We really want to make sure that we have adequate number of men involved in studies. This particular study, we want to make sure that we reach the oldest old, so that we're looking at individuals 75 and over. So all of those factors are really important. And the recruitment strategies are not an easy one. They're not the typical ones that one would see. But we have such great support by so many people that we've really been very successful. And at this point, we're almost at our 1,000 mark. So we said the goal was 2,000. Well, we're at something like 935 right now. So we're really doing quite well. And at Chicagoland's site, we are nearly 38% participants of color. So we're doing quite well. We continue to hope to do better and better. And I think that's because the overall leadership has been so thoughtful about the way to pursue this. And I also think because of our goals in going community by community, really involving people. What a wonderful thing for them beyond. And I think that's the other piece of this study that's wonderful, that when this study is done, there's a sustainable network that will be there for people in the future to continue, which I think is the give back that we have. So
I want to also, thank you. Also add, it's well known that medical care has just sometimes not been equitably distributed to everyone. It's also known that people of African-American background have an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease, about 1.7 times. People who are Caucasian, people of Hispanic background, about 1.5 times. And so medical care not being equitably distributed, we really wanted to make sure that in this study, there really was equity, there really was inclusion. That's just so important for us, so that really everyone who wants to be part of the study, is appropriate for the study, will be able to join the study. I think that's important because not only do we want to include people, but we want to make sure that in the end, that the results apply to everyone. We don't want to say, oh, we've just recruited a certain population, that's who the results apply to. Part of the reason to run it in the United States is that we have such a diverse population, and we want to know that the results apply to that diverse population for everyone's health.
And don't you think that's one of the reasons Chicago was selected as well? Because yes, as a city and a greater city area, we have tremendous diversity here. So yes, definitely.
Very important.
So another question, for people who might not really understand how research studies work, or who might be a little concerned about being engaged in research, what are some of the advantages of being engaged in a study like USpointer? I'll open that to each of you to answer.
I mean, I can start with that. I think, trials research, if done well, and I believe this study is definitely recognizes how to translate this to individuals, can really offer hope, At this point, as we discussed, there really isn't good treatments, good preventive strategies, and providing these opportunities when you're a part of this trial, I think is a wonderful opportunity for you. You know, many of us just need that additional bump. We need that a little support structure from other people in the team. And that's how this study is designed, that actually by community, we develop teams, and those teams work together towards these initiatives in changing lifestyle. And in one arm of the study, it's a bit more intensive. There's a lot more instruction, counseling. In the other one, it's less, but there's still team networks in which that socialization, that support structure exists. And I find that, as Dr. Gitelman has suggested, the medical community isn't necessarily poised to provide that kind of team and support necessarily. There are some groups that do that exactly, but because we are meeting in a local geographic area, it makes it so much easier for adults to participate. And so I think that that is something, and also in many cases, they will be meeting either in their local libraries, in their local senior centers, or at their local exercise facilities, whether it be a Y or a park district. That's something that they can continue way beyond the study. So to me, it gives you tools and gives you connections that you might not have known about or been involved in. And this is an opportunity for you to carry out in that way. And I'm sure Dr. Gitelman has more to add.
So I fully agree with everything you said, Dr. Tangney. The hope is really an important part of it. I think knowing that you're doing something positive for yourself and also people in the future. You know, no matter how studies come out, we always learn something. If the study is positive, we can say, well, that's, you know, proved our hypothesis and this is going to be beneficial. And if it's negative, then we know that we need to move on to something else. That's important. So that's really important. People are followed closely in the study. People are given advice here about exercise and about diets, and no matter which arm of the study you're in, I think people can benefit from those things. And, you know, knowing you're part of something greater, I think can be very important to people. And being in the study, people are also getting medical advice as well about how to improve their health over time. So the sustainability is important. The tools people that are given are important. Knowing that you're part of something that will really have an impact for the future of how people live in their brain health is going to be very important for everyone.
I have one last question. I'll start with you, Dr. Gitelman. If people in the Advocate area or who are affiliated with Advocate or not, but if they're interested in learning more about the study, who do they contact? How do they learn more?
So anyone throughout Chicagoland who's interested in learning more about the study can contact either the site at Rush or the site at Advocate. I'll give the Advocate information and Dr. Tangney the Rush. So at Advocate, our phone number is 847-720-6467. Our email is uspointer@aah.org. And our website is www.advocatehealth.com/Memory Center. And at the Memory Center webpage, just click on research and there'll be more information about US Pointer. Dr. Tangney?
Sure. At Rush, the number is 708-660-6463. And the email, which is probably one of the easiest ways to contact our project manager, is pointer at rush.edu. Very simple.
Well, great. Thank you both so much for taking the time with us. Really appreciate it. And we hope that those of you that have been watching Facebook Live will let other people know about the US Pointer study, and will contact these sites if you have any further questions. Again, thank you both so much for being with us today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.